Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and I am back from holiday. Where was I? Thanks for asking, good question. I went to Kiev in Ukraine. And what's this video about? Well, really, let's be honest, it's just a poorly veiled attempt for me to get you to watch a very poorly edited, travel vlog that I did. It's going to be up in this corner while I talk about Kill Team related things. No, really, there's only going to be like 2 pictures of Warhammer stuff up there. First things first, I would like to thank the people that helped me while I was out there. That is Mikola for kind of organising everything, setting everything up there. Marina, Olia, and Christian, who allowed me to play with his models. Okay, so very quickly before we get into this, what this video is actually about, why did I go to Kiev? Well, because back in December, I think I was using Reddit a lot more, and some guy said he was from Kiev and they had a big scene out there. And I said, hey, I'm thinking of going to Ukraine at some point. Why? Good question. Because the flights cost like £20. Why wouldn't I go? That's crazy cheap. It's cheap to get there. It's cheap when you're out there. I was like, hey, I'm cheap. Let's go. And at the time, he said, hey, if you come out, let's play some Kill Team. And I said, hey, yes. Now, while I was out there, I did indeed play some Kill Team, and I managed to meet up with a bunch of the people, talk about their scene, all that kind of thing. And I actually found it really interesting. I also, already kind of outside of having gone there, have planned to do and discuss a little bit a video talking about different points levels and values, and how I see that kind of going forwards and progressing. However, before I talk about that, I kind of wanted to talk about this because this is tangentially related, and it's not just my thoughts, it's, oh, they're actually doing it. They're playing in a way that, as far as I'm aware, nobody else is. And that's kind of interesting, right? Okay, so what is the Ukraine, or Kiev, because I was in Kiev, not the whole of Ukraine, meta? Well, okay, bear with me. Since Kill Team released, the meta has been 100 points, right? Commanders released, and nothing, and people said, oh, okay, let's stay at 100 points. And we did. And there haven't really been any Commanders tournaments. Arena released, and they said, hey, let's do Arena tournaments. Oh, let's not use Commanders. Let's stay at 100 points. And then Elites has released, and now there's a bit more of a question about what we're doing there. Okay, so the scene in Kiev is they have about 70 active players, which is amazing. I know 5 in my local area. Where are my 70 players? I live in London, the motherland of Warhammer. Can't get a game for shit. For example, I know I haven't told you what their meta is yet. That's going to come in just a second. But for example, they have such a big player base. Regardless of whatever crazy internal politics they may have going on there are about 70 people, but they have such a large player base, they can host frivolous tournaments. Me, I want functional tournaments, because I don't get to play tournaments. I want a tournament that is a basic level and will let me play Kill Team for like 4 or 5 rounds, and maybe I'll win. Like, I haven't even had a chance to win a Kill Team, gold, silver, or bronze medal. What's that? That's nuts. To be fair, I don't travel. Like, if I had travelled, I could have found somewhere that was doing it, but my local Games Workshop and my local game, independent game store, haven't done anything with them. Or they did, but it was weird and it wasn't actually Kill Team. Not going to talk about that. I just want a tournament, right? In Kiev, they do frivolous tournaments because they can play a different player every day of the week and never play the same person again for like 3 months. And that's crazy. So, for example, they are doing a tournament, which is an elite tournament, a celebration of the Elites book that's just come out, except you have to be elite when you go there. You have to wear, like a fancy suit, or if you're female, a dress. Females do exist, I have recently discovered. So yeah, while you're playing 200-point Elites game, you have to wear a suit. And that's fun, isn't it? Like, it's weird. In England, Where I am, you wouldn't risk that because people might not turn up because you have to wear a suit. And that means you might only get 3 people turn up. Now, why am I mentioning that? Well, if you can run a frivolous tournament, it's a pretty good sign of the healthiness of a scene, right? Of a meta, if you will, whatever you want to call it. I don't call it a meta because that's an incorrect usage of the word, it's a scene. However, when you can go beyond purely functional and bare bones events, you have a good scene. So, I would declare that Kiev, just purely based on that alone, has a good and healthy kill team scene. Now, we can learn from that. As the rest of the world, we can look at a healthy scene and say, hey, what are they doing? Is that something we can do? Oh yes, but quickly. If you're in the area or are open to travelling for what are dirt cheap flights and also a dirt cheap country when you're there, you should of course check them out. There's a link in the description to ways to contact them. There aren't really any rules. I think you have to wear a suit or dress. I don't think those are gender specific either. You wear whatever you want to wear. And I think it's 200 points elites. I don't know. I mean, I'm considering going because flights are so cheap. Why not? I have just come back though, and that will depend on work. This isn't the point of the video. Anyway, since Commanders released, Kiev, the scene there has been almost exclusively 200-point Commander games. Now, that's odd, isn't it? Everyone I've talked to, everybody that does tournaments, everybody that plays casually, people that are new to the game, people that I have played that have developed in their own little scene outside of what I've had vision of, we've done 100 points. You know, just regular, straight out of the book missions, and 100 points, and that's it, right? Why are they doing 200 points Commanders? Why didn't that pick up anywhere else? Okay, so I can't really talk with much authority about Commanders. I did, of course, cover the Commanders book when it released. I was very excited for it, but then nothing happened with it, which was a bit weird. I think I have played 4 games of Commanders. I played Eldar twice. Tyranids? I played Tyranids once, and I played Tau once. Those are the only Commanders games I've done, okay, at 200 points. And that was fine. So I'm not really going to talk about, you know, kind of the efficacy of Kill Team Commanders at 200 points. That's actually going to come in another video, possibly. I'm really just marveling at how they have developed a scene that is self-contained. They don't care what everybody else is doing. They don't care what the tournaments are running. Because when you have 70 players as your local meta, you can do literally anything you want. Like, you just decide, hey, we're doing this. And you have enough people that you don't care what people in the next country over are doing. Whereas, for example, me in the UK, I look to the American tournaments and I say, what are they doing? You know, maybe we can follow in their footsteps. And if they're going to run their tournaments in that way, that implies to me that we, the UK, are going to run our tournaments in the same way because, of course, we are usually very tightly meshed. But I hear Ukraine, I don't think, oh, well, I better take a look at that scene, because why would I? That's weird. But whatever they've done it well, and it seems that since Commanders came out, there was no resistance. It was just, okay, we're playing Commanders at 200 points for every single game. And part of me questions, is that the way the game's meant to be played? Are we all screwing up by ignoring Commanders? It's very interesting. It's very interesting what it does to the meta. For example, while I was talking to some of them out there, they pointed out that at 200 points, the balance is completely different. For example, and just to be clear, I'm 100% stealing the example I was given by one of them. These aren't really my words, but whatever. At 100 points, Death Guard are very powerful, okay? But at 200 points, you don't really gain anything with Death Guard. You're still limited by the number of gunners you can take, so you're not actually gaining anything in that regard. And while, yes, a regular Death Guard is very tough to kill, it's still only got a bolter. Who cares, really? You can't take more gunners, you can't take more fighters, all you can add are more regular Death Guard and regular Poxwalkers. And while that, of course, in a 100-point game, saying, oh yeah, you can add 6 more Poxwalkers, whatever, it's like, whoa, that's huge. At 200 points, everybody is adding more models to the roster, and therefore the effectiveness of, a few more bolters or a few more Poxwalkers is significantly less. So while I feel, a pretty good grasp of the meta and how, like a tier list for every single team at 100 points, I have no idea what the most powerful factions are in 200 points Commander games. Literally none at all, which is scary. I can only assume certain things, and well, no, I could just ask them. I could just ask them and kind of relay that information to you, but I haven't done that. Cool. So I don't really have a point to this video. I'm really just kind of rambling at the idea that they have a self-contained scene that doesn't really care about the rest of the world because they're big enough to support and sustain it, and isn't that interesting just in itself? And should this be more of a thing? Should we actually kind of realize that maybe we should pay a bit more attention to those things? Also, commanders. Are we perhaps too focused on the tournament scene? Should we look at how balanced commanders are? Now, obviously, I'm aware that certain sources have pointed out that commanders was never meant to be balanced. Fine, but, whatever. That does, of course, mean that certain factions are going to be significantly more powerful than other factions, just by the nature of them. But that doesn't mean the game is unplayable. You're still going to come out with a tier list, just like there's a tier list at 100 points, there's going to be a tier list at 200 points. Now, it's possible that the power gap between the factions at 200 points, because it's not balanced, is somewhat larger than at 100 points, which, as we are slowly learning, is actually pretty balanced, Anyway, these really were just ramblings that I'm kind of having before I do a bigger, more focused video where I actually discuss things and points levels and say, at 100 points, this is what's happening. However, 125 points or blah, blah, blah. I just have thoughts that I want to put out there, really. In the meantime, commanders, they have, they've invited me over to their Elites tournament. I'd love to go if I can get the time off work. And, I put together a little guy who's not in focus. So, I put together a little commander who I hope to, I'm ready for a tournament. And yeah, I feel like I've missed out on a huge part of the game because, and this is, oh man, okay, I'm not going to go into this too much because this is a whole nother topic. I have been so focused on, I guess, the competitive side, but also just Games Workshop is correct. Games Workshop is right. What they tell us to do, we should do, because they have spent time and money and effort into doing something that is inherently good. However, bizarrely, the more I get into the tournament scene, the more I realise that's not the case. But it was a tournament scene that I wanted to follow because of that. And when they kind of disavowed, almost, commanders, I was like, well, I'm not going to play commanders then. I'm going to focus on the tournament scene because Games Workshop has balanced that, not commanders. No. But have I messed up? I feel like I've missed a large part of the game. I mean, look, for those long-time watchers, this is the core book. Spiral bound with something you haven't seen since I reviewed it. Where is it? Oh, this is good. This is good YouTube content. The Commander's book. It's been here all along, guys. I just haven't touched it. And now I'm thinking, should I? Okay, little teaser for what I'm going to be talking about soon. The differences and potential differences in fun an experience of 100 points, 125 points, 135 points, 150 points, 200 points, no commanders, 200 points, yes commanders, 200 points, optional commanders. I think all of those points levels and options have merit, and we haven't explored them. Now, obviously, Elites has just come out, so we're kind of looking at, oh, maybe 100 points isn't the way to go. Maybe 125 is the way to go. And just because certain people say competitive is staying at 100, maybe we should realise that Games Workshop isn't all-powerful and all-knowing. Maybe they've given us a bare-bones rule set that to really make something fun, we have to take and change to actually make it viable as a long-term product, which is ultimately what we want Kill Team to be. Anyway, that's going to be more spoken of good English me in hopefully the next video, because I haven't recorded anything, so yeah. Anyway, this has been Glass Half Dead. I haven't done an intro. I'm going to do the intro now at the end of the video instead. Live life to the fullest, guys. Just have a good day. Have a good day. What do you think about commanders? What do you think about points levels? No, you know what? Leave the points levels things for the next video, because I'm going to be going into that. No, you know what? Tell me what you think, because maybe I will mention your thoughts in that video, and maybe I'll respond to them. I don't know. I really haven't thought about the format yet. Anyway, this has been Glass Half Dead and his little AdMech commander man. Saying goodbye. Have a good day. Talk soon. Why are they doing 200 points commanders? Why didn't that pick up anywhere else? Why didn't it? I don't fucking know. And I put together a little guy who's not in focus. Focus, you slut.